One thing you do have to fear is market confidence. I mean, we have it approaching 20,000, and it doesn't make any sense. There was the Roaring 20s. Everybody was excited. They were putting their money into the stock market. It was a big deal. And do we have some cause for optimism looking forward? After the presidential election, we see that there's been this confidence that has risen. But you have to pay attention. Who really is running this country, and it's not elected officials. And even if they are elected officials, then most likely, like you have the gentleman from Breitbart News that was put in, Steve Bannon. So much attention is drawn to him being accused of being a KKK member, but nothing is brought up about him being a former managing partner at Goldman Sachs. That the true leaders in this country are controlling the monetary system. There may be confidence, but before the Great Depression, before the Great Panic in the 1920s, there was a great market confidence. It was a topic. Everyone's conversation was stocks. Everyone was confident, and must realize, of course, it's good to take off market restrictions. It's good to lower taxes for an economy, but at the same time, with an increase of spending, where's the money coming from? We're going to go into greater debt, and ultimately, can this economy recover? Can it recover? Confidence, I suppose, can. And that's why you see the changes in the dollar, changes in the metals markets. But ultimately, the problem is systemic. The problem moving forward is the fact that they have printed this money. Don't you remember when they came to you, they said, we need your money. We need your money. These banks are too big to fail. These massive financial institutions were on the verge of bankruptcy, and they took trillions of dollars from the taxpayers. They pushed it out. And what do we have left? What do we have left? Was the problem fixed? Why did they go insolvent? Bad business practices, risky loan practices, putting everything into the stock market. This is why some of the richest people during the Great Depression suffered the most, and the poor working man was who thrived. And if you examine our society, it was a largely agrarian society then. People were planting, people were farming, people had gardens, they were feeding themselves mostly, and they still were starving to death. The farmers were starving because everything was tied into this financial system that had imploded. And we live in a society today, most of our cities, they're food deserts. What happens if shipments stop coming to New York City? How quickly do things break down? I mean, it's hard to even hold them together now. And we see the state of the world right now. People are scared. People are scared. So really the only true thing to fear is not being prepared. Is letting confidence delude you away from good sense, which is protecting your assets, which is investing in something like gold or silver, something that has real, tangible value. Because, like I said, the problems are systemic. They're going to print more money. There's going to be an issue. I mean, the Federal Reserve just raised interest rates. They've been at zero for almost 10 years. And it's not that things are better. Look around you. There might be a confidence. There might be a confidence in business. There might be a confidence in some of the manufacturers that have been suffering due to trade with China. But at the same time, look at the people. Look around you. Are you richer today? It is even possible your wages are higher, but when you look at the structure of the dollar, the value has changed dramatically. You used to get paychecks, and $20, it felt like a lot of money, but you go to the grocery store now and you can't even really get anything for $20. $20 is enough food for a couple days if you have a family. More than that, most of this country's on unemployment. Where's that money come from to pay for that? We have a serious problem, and I don't think that any election is just going to change that. The thing that needs to take place is it takes steps to prepare and to secure some sort of go-to place with your finances while it's still cheap enough to do so. To be able to secure it into some sort of increment of money or spending that is not changeable. You see, by the Fed increasing or decreasing interest rates, increasing and decreasing the money supply, they're able to control its value. They're able to control just how much the perceived value is. And, it's not something they're able to do with gold or silver. At the end, its value is pegged against the dollar, but it's really invaluable. And it's priceless to be able to have a substance that is not connected to a flawed system, a faulty system, a dying system. And regardless, there's a reason that we're in the Middle East. There's a reason that we're fighting these countries. There's a reason that they're pushing for regime change in all these countries, is because there's a war out for the U.S. dollar. These countries don't want to be ruled over by the U.S. dollar anymore. They don't want to sell their goods in the U.S. dollar. They know that it's valueless. They know that we're printing vast amounts of these dollars, and they don't want to do it. And the only thing that is holding the dollar's value is not gold. It's not backed by a gold standard, but it's backed by the military might of the United States of America. And so it's not as though our leaders have a choice that they're going over there. There's just a lot more going on that they're not telling us. That's the reason for the propaganda, because they must go over there. The flat truth of the matter, they can't just express it. That, we're going there for money. We're going there to defend the dollar, because it is a serious problem. If the world loses trade of petroleum and the U.S. dollar, this country will change overnight. It'll become like Venezuela. People will be rioting, food riots. And what will we do then? While you have the finances, take the excess monies that you get, put them into something solid. You see in Russia, when they went through their currency crisis not too long ago, people were out buying TVs, buying lumber, buying bricks, buying anything to get their money immediately out of the currency, because overnight it was dropping in value, dropping, and they wanted anything tangible that could be resold into the currency when it settled. You can't spend lumber, but it was just such a rush, and gold and silver were not easily accessible, because when the government and the currency's in trouble like that, there's financial constraints that are set forth. They were only allowed to take out the equivalent of $20 a day, because they didn't want the banks collapsing. They didn't want the currency to collapse. They put up financial institutions. So do you have cash on hand? Are you prepared for something like this? And that's what we're talking about, being prepared, being able to see through blind optimism. It's good to be optimistic. It's good for the markets. But they were very optimistic. I believe it was a week before the stock market crash in 1920 that they were saying that this is a stock market without any ceiling, that it looks to be expected profits for years to come. And it was just optimism. And the one thing that you don't take into account is the fact that some of the people controlling these Federal Reserve banks, controlling this monetary system, have so much wealth, so much vast amounts of wealth, that any one of them could single-handedly cause a stock market crash at any moment they decide, just by moving their assets. Cause a panic. They sell out When the market's at an all-time high, they don't lose anything. But who loses? All of you that are running and putting your money into this market through all of this optimism. For all you know, this is exactly what they want. To push the markets to an all-time high so they can come back for another swipe like they did in 2008 during that crisis when they came and they took the money. And then what? The banks were too big to fail. So they own the very banks that would take another bailout because they're too big to fail. They've already proven that they can strong-arm the U.S. government out of our tax money when there's a crisis. So crisis is profit. So be alert, be aware, and do your research. You know, sometimes the safest place to be is standing a little further back from the crowd. And don't get lulled to sleep. Stay vigilant. My suggestion is buy metals, buy precious metals while they're low, while you have the chance. Before a swing comes and it becomes so expensive, it's unchangeable, because what is coming is not going to be the all-time profit maker for metals. It's going to be to the point where it will rise so much that you won't want to sell them because the dollars will become worthless. And you need to get in now while you have the chance, while it's still cheap, while it's still low. Alright, thank you guys. It's January 6th, 2017. Thanks for joining me. Like, share, subscribe for more reports.